What's happening, everybody? Hey, what I decided to do is hit up some of the parks in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. First, I'm gonna hit up the places in Arlington, Texas, which is right in the middle of the DFW area. This park is called Fish Creek Park. This is a trail that I run on, like I mentioned in the previous video. Run on this trail at least about 3 to 5 days a week. It's a nice trail. It's a pretty long trail. Go 30 minutes out and 30 minutes back. It's about a mile away from the crib, so I get to run down to the trail and stop and stretch. That warms me up, and then continue the run and do 30 minutes out and 30 minutes back. The trail is about a 9-mile trail, which is really cool. I'm actually doing the other side of the trail, the side that I normally don't run on. Very rarely do I go this side of the trail. Usually when I go to the trail, I take a right and go the other direction. But this morning I wanted to show y'all this side of the trail, and it's a pretty cool view of the trail. So let me just drop some knowledge on you all. First off, why in the world did I get a Onewheel? First, I love snowboarding. Absolutely love snowboarding. And this thing is the closest I will get to snowboarding in Texas. But the reason why I decided to get a Onewheel, when I first saw a Onewheel, saw it on YouTube, I think it was a little commercial or something, and I saw it and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then when I saw the price, it was like $800 or $900. I was like, wow, that's really expensive. And then I saw the price of the XR, which is $1,700, basically $1,800. I was like, wow, that's way expensive, something that I'm not really interested in. First time I actually saw someone ride a Onewheel, I was running on this very trail, and he comes flying by, and I yelled to him, hey, nice board. He says, thank you. But I really didn't think anything of it. It wasn't something that I really wanted. What got me to start thinking about Onewheel, one day, this was back in January, or actually late December. Got up one morning, went for a run, was taking a shower, and I was just thinking about the rest of my day. What does the rest of my day look like for that day? And it was just watching Netflix. I didn't have anything on the agenda, and I just thought to myself, man, I would love to go outside and do something, or I would love to go outside and just listen to some of the podcasts that I listen to. Go for a walk or something like that, but I really didn't have a desire to go for a walk. I just wanted to go cruising around and didn't want to do it in my car. Normally, when the pandemic is not going on, I take trips down to San Antonio, Texas, which is about a 4.5 hour drive, and I take the back roads to San Antonio, and it's a very peaceful drive. I mean, it is so nice, and you just go through these little towns, and it's just so peaceful. And I listen to my podcast. I get caught up on my podcast when I drive down to San Antonio. So both ways, round trip, it's about 8 to 9 hours, and so I get to knock out quite a bit of the podcast that I subscribe to. And because of the pandemic, I have not been going down to San Antonio to visit my mom. We just want to be very careful with her because she is an older person, and we just don't want to put her at risk with how the pandemic is just unfortunately killing a lot of elderly people. So I haven't been down to San Antonio. And so my podcasts were just stacking up, and I just wasn't listening to them when I was at home or at work or whatever. And so I was just in the shower thinking, man, I would love to have something where I can just cruise around and listen to my podcast. And then the idea Onewheel popped in my mind. And I thought, wow, you know what? That might be really cool. So I jumped on YouTube. Excuse me, let me clear my throat. It's early in the morning. But I jumped on YouTube and did a lot of research. Watched a lot of videos, got feedback from folks who own Onewheel. And everyone just talked about how they love their Onewheel. I remember listening to or watching this one YouTube video, I think it's Jimmy Chang, and he made a great point. He said that the question was, is it worth it? Is it worth $1,800, $1,800 for a Onewheel, or $900 for a pint? And he said, it depends on the person. If a person's gonna use it and it's gonna be part of their lifestyles, then yeah, it is worth it. If they're not gonna use it and it's not gonna be a big part of their life, then it's not worth it. And I had made a decision that I was gonna make it a big part of my life, because I was gonna listen to a lot of podcasts and just do a lot of rides and rack up the miles. And I had no idea how awesome the Onewheel is. And so after doing all this research, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and buy a Onewheel. So got online and ordered the Onewheel and decided to go with the XR because I wanted something I can grow into. I felt like the pint is great for someone that's not me. I wanted to go with the XR because it goes a little bit faster, and it also goes longer range. And so that was really important, the range. And so even though it costs twice as much, it's worth it to me. And so I had the funds in the bank, and so I didn't break my bank purchasing the XR. And when I first got the XR, it took no time to learn how to Onewheel or how to ride the Onewheel. I have a video that I made showing my first time ever getting on the Onewheel, and within 5 minutes I was riding it. If you have any type of snowboarding experience, which I do, I have about 10 to 13 years of snowboarding experience. It's so similar to snowboarding. It's so much like snowboarding that it took no time for me to pick it up. Picked it up with no problem, and just absolutely love riding it. Here in Texas, we just had a major snowstorm. When I say major, I'm major in Texas standards, not in Colorado or the East Coast. But we had a lot of ice and had several inches of snow that fell for a couple of days in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And I decided to get on my Onewheel and ride it in the snow. And when you're in that fresh powder, you cannot tell the difference between snowboarding and riding a Onewheel on the snow or in the snow. It feels exactly the same. When you're riding on the pavement, I would describe it as, it feels like snowboarding. But when you're riding in the snow, it doesn't feel like snowboarding. It is snowboarding. I mean, there is no difference. And let me pause. And I like this view right here. This is one reason why I wanted to go this side of the trail or do this side of the trail is that little part right there is just really cool. I really wanted, when it snowed, I really wanted to go down to that area and take some drone shots and pictures of the snow, but it was just so much snow, and I just got a text from one of my student athletes that's in Sweden. And we're doing this one cool project called the 7 Last Words of an Unarmed. And so I'm gonna have to pause this voiceover and continue it when I finish talking to my student athlete. Peace. Okay, I'm back. I work as an academic advisor at a university in the athletic department. And so one of my international student athletes had reached out to me. She's currently in Sweden. And we're gonna do this really cool video project, social media project that's associated with Black Lives Matter. But anyways, gosh, I forgot where I was. I think I was talking about the Onewheel. I think I just finished talking about how I wanted to go and videotape one of the parts of the trail, but I couldn't make it out there because the snow was really deep and it was unfortunate. But back to the Onewheel. Some people may ask, is it worth the investment? For me, it is definitely worth the investment. I just absolutely love riding the Onewheel. I love riding it at nighttime, daytime. I love riding it in the snow. If I ever get caught in the rain, ride it in the rain. I also use it when it comes to doing some of the videotaping of our student athletes. I work a lot with the men's and women's track team, and so I'm planning on using the Onewheel to capture a lot of video footage of them just riding along with them on the track, or when they do a road, jump on the road and do some distance. But it's just such a fun piece of equipment that you can just pretty much almost ride anywhere. And this trail is just one of my favorite trails. It's close to me, and it's very long, very long ride. And so I can't even do from my house and riding down to the trail, I can't do the complete trail on one charge. And so I really like trails that are really long, where I don't have to go back and forth to get a long ride in. Well, wow, that went by quick. 13 minutes done, and that's the ride. I didn't tape everything, but that's it. Peace.